Hey everyone, it's TB Shores. I'm back. It's March the 14th, 2021. It is 12:16 p.m. In this video, we are, I think the Lord would have me to backtrack just a bit and make sure that we understand the connection of, or between, the connection between the P gland and the building blocks, okay? When we look at what he's been showing us, we can clearly see that the P gland is the holiest of holies in this temple and the seat where the Lord dwells within us, okay? And what we are seeing here is how it will be used in silencing the voice of God within. And the connection with the building blocks is about that is the breach that is needed to, as we looked at that word that the Lord had given me, and we're going to get into that a little more, but when I was over here and I was speaking of this, and I was trying to understand, cast out a breach, and the Lord gave me the word plunder. We're going to visit that a little bit, and we know that's a taking something that doesn't belong to us, okay, to plunder, but it also, the Lord showed me a bit deeper there of what's going on with this plundering, okay? This is about that breach, allowing this intrusion or plundering that enables the silencing of the voice of God within, okay? And this, of course, the stick is directly connected with that. I do believe the Lord is showing that the implementing of the mark itself, okay, that we read about in Revelation, I believe it's 13, about the mark. The implementing of that requires that there be other things implemented that must work together, more than one thing that must work together to enable the mark to be used at its full capacity, I guess is one way of putting it. I'm still seeking the Lord on details about what he's trying to get me to understand there. But I do believe that what he's showing is that the stick is one piece of the puzzle to the mark. I guess that's a simple way of putting it. So as we look at understanding what the P gland and the building blocks, how they connect, I want to pop over here and just cover some information. Hold on a minute, I'm trying to get to the right windows. And of course this is about the building blocks and how that is going to be used to create this breach, okay? And it even connects us back to Daniel, to the book of Daniel, and I'm not being led to go right there right now, but I think that it's coming up soon, and it's all connected with this. We've got to understand a little bit more about the function of the P gland and the connection between the P gland and the building blocks. So as we look, let's go here. As we look at this particular article, let me back it up just a bit. No, that's not the one I want first. This one is. Okay. We see here that this article clearly states that the P gland is responsible for your building block system. It is referred to as being the seat of the soul, of which we discussed that, I think, pretty clearly in previous videos about how this is the Holy of Holies, just as in the tabernacle in the wilderness. When the tabernacle was first set forth, it was showing us a foreshadowing of the temple the Lord would build in this day. And in the Holy of Holies was a seat where the Lord would come and dwell, just like in this fleshly tabernacle or temple. There is a seat in a Holy of Holies, and that seat is the seat of the soul. Okay. It says it is capable of making a compound called DMT. It's released from the P gland during extraordinary states such as the time of death and the time of birth. So there we can see a clear connection to the spiritual side of things, because it's about when we enter this world and when we leave this world, okay? And that's all about the spirit within us. It's about, well, I won't get into that. I was fixing to explain some things on that, but I don't think the Lord's leading me to get into that, at least not right now. And it goes on to say, this gland may be the mechanism from which we enter and leave our physical bodies. So clearly we can see the spiritual connection through this. And when we understand that, we can understand why the enemy wants to get control of this, because it will allow, with whatever methods they think that they have accomplished, it will allow a silencing. The goal is to silence the voice of God within. Okay, now we're going to look at, okay, the P gland is about the silencing of the voice, because that is where the Lord dwells. Okay, the building blocks are about creating that breach that is needed to perpetuate the end goal of what they want to accomplish within this body. And, you know, it goes beyond just manipulation of the P gland and, say, making a breach, a hole, a tear, a rip in the building blocks, because this is about not only silencing the voice of God within, but it is about filling this temple with darkness, because the goal has always been of the enemy to defile God's creation. And you know, we see that from the very beginning, because when we look in Genesis 3 verse 5, we see that the serpent, of course we know who that is, told Eve that, by partaking of the fruit, of course that was taking something into the body again, okay, remember that, would make them as gods. Okay, so there again, it's about that lie of what it's going to do. Just partake of this, okay? And that's where we are again. It's about that exalting, playing on that pride and that exalting oneself. And of course, that's what we saw with the Tower of Babel as well. It's about that lifting up, that building of that Tower of Babel and lifting up, trying to reach the level of God and make a name, okay? They want to make a name for themselves. just as we see in 2 Thessalonians, how the son of perdition is all about dwelling in the temple. Of course, that is this holiest of holies. Now, don't get me wrong, there will be a physical temple in Jerusalem that the AC, the son of perdition, will, as scripture says, set in. But that is the physical application. The Lord has always taught me there's a physical and a spiritual application to all things. So that is the physical application, and that is more pertinent to Israel, okay? Because they will accept the false Messiah, and that is one of the ways in which they are led to do that, because it's connected to that third temple and him sitting there. But this spiritual temple, this is third temple of this time in the spiritual, okay? And it's about not only that the son of perdition, the AC, whatever you want to call him, setting in the physical temple. He wants to sit in this spiritual temple that God created in our holiest of holies, which is the pig land. But he's got to find a way in, and that is through the building blocks, okay? And we see right here that it says that the pig land is responsible for the building block system. So to try to understand, now I'm not going to get into great detail about the makings of the body, but there's a few little things we need to understand and how this connects. And there are some professionals who have put out information that goes right along with much of what the Lord is showing here. You kind of got to dig for it. And some of you had requested it by email sources that I had been looking at, and I sent it to you. So those had, to me, the best connection to what the Lord is having me to share here that I've seen thus far. And, you know, it's not some great phenomenal thing, but they're laying it out there to where you can see how it ties in to what the Lord is showing from the scriptures. Okay, here we see it says the biologically active material arising from the pea gland building blocks is called long-term non-coding. And this is within that. I don't really think I need to say that out. I don't want. Okay, so we're going to call this the ink R. Okay. I hope you're looking at the video so you can see what I'm talking about. But there are professionals that have put out info concerning the things here that you see mentioned in connection with the building blocks. It goes on to say the ink R is distinct from the better known, we're going to call this the MR, which serves as a kind of template to translate the information contained. Okay, information contained in building blocks. I think I need to cut this off here, and we'll pick up in the next video. I don't want this to get too long because it takes longer to load. I'm going to cut this off, and we'll pick up right here when I get back. I love y'all.